So let's talk freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've been hearing from some of my students, former students, who are in college now. This was their first year. Obviously, that got ripped away real quick, um,
Yeah.
in the sense that, they were planning on being on campus and now they're not. But some of them have been talking to me about how it's a struggle now because they had a taste of freedom. Like they've been in the dorm life, they've been in apartment life, whatever, get to do what they want, make their own schedule outside of class. And now, because of everything that's going on and everybody is having to stay home, uh, they're back under their parents' roots and they're having to follow rules and shift real quick back into that life after they just got out of it. And so, just how a struggle, like so much of a struggle that is. So, I don't know if you've been hearing about that, but I just thought maybe we could hop on here and, like, I have been there.
Yeah.
So many times before. So just some encouragement or some practical things that they can like hang on to until they can like break free again.
Yeah, for sure. I know whenever we were building our house in Houston, we were living in New York trying to build our house, but then it was like time for us to move and our house wasn't ready yet. So we had to move back in with my mom for a few months and my stepdad, and I was like, "Oh boy." And you know what? That's hard. That
Yeah,
is so hard.
especially as a married couple.
For
Oh,
real. I know. I don't, and even like, well, I think even harder is college students though, because you're like, I just like found myself or am finding myself and finding myself in the space of freedom. And now I feel like I have to fit back in this box and I feel torn because I really want to step into who I am and then whatever, which honestly, one of the things my younger sister was like when she went to college, she changed a little bit, like, and in the best way. Like she was so much more outgoing and talkative and like funny, and I loved like having her back because I would relearn her. Like I was learning so much, more about her. And practically speaking, I think that's one thing that they could implement right now is like relearn your family members and let them relearn you. And that probably sounds weird, but like honestly, like sit down and get to know each other again because you've probably had some changes and for good or for bad, that's probably just a fun thing that y'all can do together.
yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it too. Of like, hey, they're like, even though it's been a short span of time, like, I mean, for some of y'all, you've probably been in college, they've probably been in college for maybe a few years, but for some, it
Yeah,
was just months. And now they're
right.
having to like go back. But even still, even after just a few months, like you've had some experiences that you never had before. You probably have to
Totally.
your shell a bit. You've blossomed, you've changed some things, you've changed perspectives. Like they get to relearn you during this time, which I think is a really cool way, definitely a positive way to look at it is like, this is fun. This could be really interesting. We're stuck together, really
Yeah,
together, and we can't go anywhere. Like,
right.
there's no way
What
out.
are some things that you did whenever you
Oh my.
whenever you experienced that?
So I had multiple times. Like when I started college, I was still at home, but my
Mhm.
sister was moved out. So it's just me and my mom. And then I moved out, then I moved back, then I moved to a different state, then I moved back. And I was during that time, like I didn't leave her house again until I got married. And so like I was engaged, I was everything in my mom's house. And so man, I learned what not to do real quick. Uh,
What what's that?
some like major fights and like she took my car keys away and I'm like, I don't care, I'm looking. Like I mean, thankfully I live in
Oh,
town.
no.
Like I could, yeah, I'm a grown woman. So honestly, I think I learned like I don't know if I learned much other than like don't don't be stupid. Like learn when to zip it. Learn when to zip it.
Yep.
I did learn, especially now as a parent. I mean, I have taught like 4 and 5, so it's not quite like they've tasted freedom. Like taste and see that the freedom is good, and
Yeah.
but uh, just to give your parents grace and like even if they're not giving you grace, because yeah, you're out now. You know what it's like to have tasted and seen that the Lord and the freedom is good, and now you're
Mhm.
back. They may not give you grace, but give them grace, because just like you don't know how to re-enter that life, they don't know either.
Yeah.
And like
Wow.
they're still trying to figure out how to parent an adult. And
Yeah.
and that transition is hard. I can't even imagine. Like I just have a 4 and 5 year old, and it would be really challenging for me to like let go, or like be like so sad, empty nest or almost empty nest, and then have them come back and be like, yes, like it's all going to be the same as it was, and I'm so excited, and then it's not. Like, so just show them grace that you would want them to show you, regardless of if they show it back. That's the first thing that I would say, I think.
Yeah, that's really good. And remember that, like, I mean, honestly, like at the end of the day, like they don't owe you this place. I mean, it's still really kind of them to like bring you back in and feed you again. And like, I know that sounds crazy, but like, I remember, when me and Justin moved back in with my mom, I was like, dang, this is really nice. Cause they could be like, no, you need to go rent a place because
Yeah,
like,
you're
our house is full. Yeah, you're an adult. Exactly. Like if that's like your kind of angle, like you can't boss me around, I'm an adult. They could be like, great, be gone. You are an adult. Like if you want all this. So I think it's also like you're saying, giving them grace and also being like thankful and humble that they
mhm.
are just letting you hang out with them and live rent free, because life is not rent free after college.
Let me tell you, take advantage now of
Yeah.
free food and free laundry service and free house cleaning. I mean, you may have to chip in some of that, but like it's so different from actually being on your own real life.
And honestly, do that. Chip in. See how their attitudes change as you serve each other.
Yeah.
Like I bet that's how you will really earn that mutual respect that you're craving, is actually pitching in and doing things that earn that respect.
Yeah, and communicate. I think that's the second thing I would tell them is like,
Huge.
y'all, I'm not good at communication with anybody that I love. I'm just not good at it. I'm sure I'm still trying to figure it out as a almost 32-year-old. I'll be 32 this week.
Hey.
Hello. But I'm still trying to figure it out. So if you can, like, we have this time where we can't get out of our houses and we can't get away from each other. Learn how to communicate now, because that's going to pay off later for your other
Uh-huh.
relationships. But if they're not letting you do something and you think it's within your right, um, it may or may not be, but if that's, but talk to them about it. Like sit down, have a conversation, and not out of anger and not yelling at each other. Trust me, it's hard in practice. I'm aware, but like just sit down and be like, hey, this is bothering me and this is why. Can we talk about it? And just see what
Yeah.
happens. I mean, you never know. It could blow up, or it could be something like beautiful that comes from it.
Totally. I think that is huge. And in that same conversation, you could even talk about boundaries. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know one of the girls I'm mentoring is like, I feel bad because, I don't know that I have like the space to feel all of my feelings, because I feel like I should always be with my family, or like my little brother is always, wanting to play, and I feel bad if I'm ignoring him. But like, so I don't feel like I have space to recover and feel like just replenish. And in that conversation, I think it's fair to be like, hey, I just need like an hour a day to just shut myself in my room. Nothing's wrong, nobody panic. I just need to like have my little space of freedom, um, that I'm now missing and almost grieving in a sense. Even if it's like 1 to 2 hours, I think like you are responsible, to it's your responsibility to take care of yourself also in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, it's like, for better or for worse, this is where God has you right now. Like,
Yeah.
this is where He has placed you for such a time as this. So, using that time of like an hour or two where you shut yourself in your room and you just like spend time with God, like figure out like why does He have you in that particular house, in that particular place for this time? Like, what is it? How does He want to use you? How can He use you? How can
Hmm.
you represent His love well? to
Mhm.
the people around you right now and to your family in particular. Like I didn't have to. I journaled the other day um, in like my quiet time and my prayer time. And I was like, Jesus, like, I just want to represent your love well today, including my
Yeah.
family, because that's the hardest people to represent your love to. And so there might be something that he's trying to teach you having you in this place right now, or there might be somebody he wants to reach through you
Mm,
having you in
mm,
this place right now. And it could be your mama or your daddy or your sister or your brother or your cousin or grandma, wherever you're stuck right now. But just like figure it out, like really talk to him about it, see how he wants to use you that day. Make it your mission in your own home.
yeah. That is so good. Like signed, sealed, delivered. That's how you do it.
That's literally like that's all I've got though. Is like, man, you just cling to Jesus because I know it's hard to keep your mouth shut.
For real.
Like
For real.
it is so hard to walk with the fruit of the spirit when you're stuck inside all day with your family. So,
Yep.
and that's not the
Clean,
case for everybody.
clean up after yourself.
Yeah, do the dishes, like do your own laundry.
Try.
Mm-hmm. Do
Put
your
a little bit of effort out there.
Yeah, yeah, and see what happens. Because something, like when you do something for them, and when you're serving them, and when you're showing them grace, you might get some of that in return. You might not, but we're here to represent Jesus and not do things to get something back. So
True.
that sucks, but it's true.
Yeah. That's that hard truth.
Yeah.
It was so good. That's so good.
You got anything else you want to add?
I mean, honestly, I think that's it. Like everything that you just said and that we just talked about, like that is it for me. That's kind of like the recipe of keeping your freedom when you feel stuck at home,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
honestly.
You may not be free at home, but you free in Christ.
Yay! Hey, that's good. Act like it.
That's so cheesy, but
Oh, that's funny.
cool.
And cut.
Scene.
Boom.